All right, we can do this. January is literally 10 years long. It's so long, I need it to end.
It's the longest year of my entire existence.
It's just been, every week feels like a year in January. Do you agree?
Yes.
It's painful.
We're still in January.
It's till Friday, it's January. It's not February till Saturday. I can't. Time is lapsing in the weirdest way. Anyway, Kamie Crawford, welcome to Office Hours. This has been such a long time coming.
I know.
I'm thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
I have so much to ask you. I want to dig in. I want to get deep today.
Let's dig, girl.
You have so many accolades. You're a TV host, a podcast host, a model, an influencer. But what I've been so taken with lately in your content is your advocacy. Have you always stood up for what you believe in, or is this newer?
I think it's come in like waves. I haven't, well, you know, actually when I think about it, like I'm a Scorpio and a rising Virgo, which says a lot about me. And I always have to preface that so that people know where I'm coming from. When I was in kindergarten, first grade, like I used to put other kids in timeout for misbehaving.
Wow. That is Virgo behavior if I ever did hear it.
Yes. And then I would get in trouble, but I would be like, but they're the ones who are acting up. Like they're the ones who are misbehaving.
So you have a strong sense of what's right and wrong, moral compass.
Yes. And I'm a Libra moon. So
wow. Okay.
Justice.
I'm seeing the picture now. Yes.
The scales of justice are always, you know, I'm always trying to figure it out. But I feel like when I was a kid, I definitely knew the difference between right and wrong. I was the kid who got bullied though a lot, like when I was in my elementary, middle school years. And I had a really difficult time with standing up for myself.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I just was allowing other people to dictate who I was, how I felt about myself. Like kids are fucking cruel. So like I just really took on a lot of energy that wasn't my own. And then going into high school, I was like, oh, I'm rebranding. I'm brand new. If the girl you thought you knew, she's gone.
So who was the high school version of you?
I didn't take shit from anyone.
I love that.
And I became the person that like if I heard you were talking about me or my friends or you were being terrible in any kind of way to anyone, I was approaching you. I became more confrontational because for so many years I just wasn't that. And then, you know, I grew up, I did the pageant thing. I had to be very politically correct for that entire period of my life because having strong opinions it wasn't encouraged in the pageant space. And then once I got out of that, I was like, I'm rebranding again. I am going to be exactly who I am all the time, radically myself, and see where that gets me. And it got me pretty far. So now I'm like, fuck it. But when it comes to like any kind of political or social issue, I'm always going to stand up for what is right. I'm always going to stand up for the people who are marginalized. And that to me is just having a platform. Like if I have people watching, I'm going to talk to you about something that you may not have ever heard of before. I did the same thing on Catfish. Like any kind of conversations that we had surrounding race or sexuality or gender, like I wanted to make sure that we were talking about it in a intelligent, informative way.
Honest way.
Yeah.
Do you filter yourself at all, like when it comes to your platform, or is there a balancing act that you do in your mind of what you say versus not say and when you say it?
I've become better at filtering myself. I used to be like my handles on everything used to be the real Kamie, and people would be like, oh, is that because like there's so many fakes out there? And like at the time there were a few, but like I was like, no, I just am going to be really authentically myself all the time. Yeah. This is like a part of the brand. This is who I am. But now I've learned that everything that I say can end up somewhere that's like bigger than just my Instagram or my TikTok. Like,
and taken out of context.
It's like a headline. Yep. I've had it so many fucking times where I'm like, this is not what I said.
Right.
That's not what I meant when I said it. If you listen to the 10 seconds before that or the 10 seconds after that, you would know. So because of that, I've learned to I hit backspace a lot more now than I used to never. I would just send. Boop.
Yeah. Do you think that influencers have a responsibility to be advocates or speak on current events? Two different things. Like, what is your take on that? Because I hear so many different ideas, and you can take it separately. Like, do you think that influencers have a responsibility to speak on every current event?
Not every current event, because I don't want anyone speaking on something that they're not educated about.
Exactly.
If you do not have the context, if you do not have the information, why are you talking about? I actually hate seeing that. I hate seeing people talk and speak out about things that they have no idea what they're talking about.
Totally.
They're just like reading headlines or, getting their news from whatever, breaking news, whatever.
Yeah.
I would rather you speak on things that impact your community, though. So like women.
Yeah.
I don't care what race you are, where you come from. If you are an influencer and the government is trying to take our rights away, maybe this is a good place to use your platform to talk about that. You've talked about it. Like,
of course.
What I don't appreciate are the influencers who are like chicken shit about it.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like you can speak to your audience because you're afraid to lose them because you're talking about something that impacts them but also impacts you and your life in really negative ways, and you're afraid that you'll lose them.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to look at yourself and you go, if you have an issue with this or if you unfollow me with this, then you're not really a fan anyway. Because the ideal is that you get to a place where you have so much trust with your community that you can say things and maybe some people don't agree with them or don't agree with your take, but they're like, I'm willing to stick it out and listen and stay because I respect this person that I'm following.
Yeah.
That's the ideal. Yeah, it's really tricky. I mean, I don't have like a hard and fast rule about what I speak on. I think if it affects my community, that's really important. But also if I feel informed and passionate about it, or if I feel like I can help. Yeah. I really, really try to stick away from reposting the thing that everybody's reposting. Yeah. I really, really try to stick away from that because it just does feel box checky to me. Yes. And what I appreciate so much about your advocacy and when you speak out is like you'll hit people with like a full paragraph, full paragraphs of your thoughts, why you feel that way, what's important to you. And I think that shows such, I know everyone hates this word, authenticity. You've done the research. You're speaking about it for like from a place of knowledge and for a reason. Yeah. But it's hard because there is pressure on influencers just be like, oh, just post something. And then that's where we get this floods of like the same infographic and they don't really mean it. And then
you end up on a canceled list.
And it's just like.
But I get the instinctual like, oh, yes, this is happening. I want to support this. Like I want to support these people. But without context, without additional information, without educating yourself on it, are you really helping anyone? If you're not even doing the work that it takes to do a quick Google search and see, how do I actually feel about this? What's actually happening with these people? Yeah. And I get it. And there's definitely been times where I've like been like, oh my God, like, okay, this is happening. I want to post this. I want to talk about this. But then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. It's okay to take a pause.
Totally.
Like sometimes you have to take a beat. What I don't like as well is when I see people who are speaking up finally about something and then their audience are like, or not even their audience, people from outside who have never followed them, who are coming in like, you've never spoken about anything before, like don't start talking now. Like why are we shaming people for trying to educate themselves?
I agree with you.
Better.
I completely agree with you. And also like sometimes you just don't learn about something until a little bit later. And the point remains, look, if an influencer that you're following has disappointed you, you can unfollow them. Like it is okay. Yeah. You know, that is completely fine. But I agree with you. There's just so much, I don't know. I honestly wish that people were as strict with their politicians as they were the people they follow on social media.
Real strict.
I'm like, it is just as easy to call your representative and let them know that what they're doing you disagree with than it is to write a DM. Like it's the same. And I feel that, I don't know, I think that people with online personalities are in a strange position now because people often get their news from the people that they follow versus other sources that have been verified. And that's where we're getting into a lot of problems. Yeah. What do you feel when someone DMs you? Like, what is your emotional response when someone DMs you? Why haven't you spoken up about this?
I get those all the time.
I get those all the time.
And 9 times out of 10, I have spoken out about it.
Yeah.
So I usually DM
that's
them
the craziest
back,
part. Yeah.
and I'll be like, hi, clearly you're new here, or maybe you just missed it, and that's okay. But I have spoken out about this thing many, many times, typically at that point, because I don't usually just like post something once and never talk about it again. I'm pretty consistent with my advocacy. And I don't even really consider it to be advocacy. I'm just talking about what's happening.
Yeah.
That's affecting me, my friends, the people who are around me, the things that my followers probably care about. And honestly, a huge chunk of them who may not even know that this exists. Like, that's why I think, when I write these long paragraphs, I don't even care if anybody sees it, honestly. And I don't really expect anybody to read it, because sometimes you're just flicking through and you're like, what is this bitch talking about? But for the people who it does resonate with, they're going to, like, whoever's going to get it is going to get it.
Yeah.
And whoever doesn't is going to go away. The people who come on at the last minute and are like, why aren't you talking about this now? Because frankly, sometimes other issues bubble to the top that take priority to some other issues. Doesn't mean that they don't matter. Doesn't mean that I will never bring them up again. But like around the election, I'm talking about the election. Around the inauguration, unfortunately, I'm talking about the inauguration. Like, these are things that I'm going to be talking about more so than something else that is not directly affecting me in this very moment and the people, the large majority of people who follow me.
Does it ever depress you?
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of at a place where I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, I feel like I got super politically engaged and like just really tuned into the news all of last year in the lead up to the election. And then I was devastated at the result. And then I was kind of like in pause. And now at the beginning of this year, being so honest, and I told my community this, I was like, I like maybe need to take a little bit of a step back because the way that the news cycle is, it is designed to keep us depressed, addicted, and scared.
Yeah.
And I want to be informed, but I genuinely got to a place where I was like, I can't be depressed every single day because we have 4 years and it's going to be this intense, and I, like, whatever your political leaning is, you have to admit that the level of chaos that this administration brings to our phones and our news cycles is very high.
Yeah.
It's very high. I don't know. So I'm kind of recalibrating in terms of what I take on and what I put out because it's just so much. So how do you balance like literally your mental health with keeping yourself informed?
There's no like
there is
formula.
no balance.
There is no balance. And I honestly feel as a Black woman, I'm perpetually exhausted by the news and politics every single day of my entire existence since 1992 when I came out of my mother's womb. Yeah. So it's not really a choice for me. And that's why I don't really consider it like advocacy because it's not really a choice for me. Like
the labor once again falls on Black women.
All the time.
Yeah.
And is it exhausting? Yes. And that's why the 92% of us have been talking about like we voted for everyone. Yeah. We did our thing. We did what we were supposed to do. And now we want to take a back seat. But guess what? Now we're activated again because now they're pulling children out of classrooms. And if there's one thing that Black women do not play about, it's the kids. So we're back in it. And it's exhausting. It's 1000% exhausting. After the election, honestly, I was like, fuck this. Like, I will never campaign again. Like, I don't care who it is, but I'm from Maryland and like my governor, Wes Moore, is just so handsome and beautiful. And I'm like, I love his family. And I'm like, I would definitely campaign for him if he ran again and Kamala again too, if she ran again. Yeah. Like, but I think we all need to take a pause. Like, it's tiring. And I agree with you. If there are influencers that you follow that don't make you feel good because they are posting or because they're not posting or whatever, it's okay to take yourself out of it for a minute. You don't have to be involved every single day. Sometimes doom scrolling on TikTok is good
I know.
until I run. But now like my whole For You page is
It's devastating.
politics.
No, I know. My whole For You page is politics. And like that guy, Aaron Parnas, he's like,
Yes.
we have
major breaking news.
We have major
breaking
I
news.
love him because I genuinely do get my news from him.
I'm watching his videos, but I do have like a spike, like an uptick. in
No,
the
because it's
cortisol
always
very
bad.
high.
I'm like, how can he have more bad news? And 5 times a day he has more bad news.
Yeah.
But I like him. I think he's good. Also, I don't know if you saw, I don't know why this popped into my mind. It really scared me. This guy, I'm really sorry, I don't remember his name. He quit. I believe it was like CNN yesterday with this. Oh my God. If everybody is not, and okay, see, that's a great example. I saw that on my TikTok, and I would bet you, not because they're not informed, but because that kind of information doesn't get out, I would bet you a vast majority of my Instagram followers do not know what he said or what that happened. And I was about to repost it, and then I was like, am I part of the cycle? Like, am I just perpetuating this doom and gloom? Because like, what is that really going to do for people? But then I'm like, well, I saw it on TikTok and that made me wake up. So I don't know.
The Instagram people are very disconnected with what's happening on TikTok. I feel like the TikTok people are so informed.
Okay.
Maybe overly informed.
But talk about that split, because I am so like, we're both millennials.
Yeah.
I feel a vast difference from my TikTok followers and my Instagram followers.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I hate my Instagram people.
I love my Instagram people.
I love them, but I can't stand them because I'm like, how do you not know this already? And
It's
why
just
am I telling you
different.
this for the first time?
It's just different demos.
I feel like I'm dealing with like boomer community on Instagram, and then I'm dealing with children on TikTok, and I can't find the balance. But the Instagram people, every time I post something, like I hate the Instagram comments. I hate the it's always so negative, which is shocking because TikTok people think is more like negative bullying, but I cackle at TikTok comments.
I had one of my podcast clips of me and Sierra from Summer House go viral on Instagram Reels. The comments actually put me back in therapy. Like,
my God.
They were so mean. Like, I cannot even explain it to you. Like, they were so misogynistic. It actually was insanity. And I was just like, whoa, this is insane.
Who are you people?
Who are you? No, it's really scary. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm just so torn on like how much to post, because I want them to be informed. I'm like, all I want is for my Instagram community, who I love so much and I feel close with on a personal level.
Yeah.
Like, I want them to see what I see on TikTok.
Yeah, I do too.
So I just
but
don't know.
I don't know. Sometimes it's the stuff that they say to me, I'm like, my TikTok followers would never say these things to me.
I also feel like people genuinely go to Instagram just to see pretty things.
Yes.
And so then I feel even worse when I'm like posting my like radicalized politics stuff on my story, but I'm like, here's these jeans. And also,
you gotta rain them in.
I have to like
somehow.
sandwich it in between my links.
Yes,
my
yes.
Amazon storefront and the end of
know.
the world.
I know.
So yeah.
So true.
I don't know. I don't know.
I definitely go to like,
what do
you
you
know how you can share to stories? Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll do that and then I'll be in the midst of it and then I'm like,
I do that so much too.
I don't want to deal with the back and this is not a discourse. And that's what I think a lot of people on Instagram confuse.
Yeah.
You're confusing this for a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm giving you information. I'm sharing information to the masses. If it doesn't apply,
Yeah.
you can tap along all day. You can unfollow. You
Yeah.
can go wherever you want.
Yeah. What do you prefer consuming, Instagram or TikTok?
TikTok, 1000%.
Yeah,
I don't even know what's on Instagram. Did you see my series of stories about what I was getting on Instagram Reels?
I did, and I loved it, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. I was really,
It's terrifying.
I have to say, I was one of those people who was like crying when I thought TikTok was going to go away,
Yep.
because I do feel so informed by it, and I'm
Yes.
sure that the information that I'm receiving is biased in one way or another. But guess what? Every information that we get is biased these days. Like,
Yeah.
where would you have me go? The news?
Yeah.
That's certainly not unbiased.
Yeah.
It is very, very hard to find unbiased opinions. And I at least feel like I'm getting more up-to-date information with TikTok. And I don't know, I was like really devastated.
I was sick.
Do you find that your algorithm is different post?
I honestly don't.
Okay.
Yeah, mine has been the same, but I have seen like some weird things. Did you see the woman who like got censored?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what is
No,
this?
I know. And I don't know. I feel like I have not seen one thing about Luigi since the
Oh
reboot.
no, Luigi's gone.
He's gone. He's wiped from the face of the earth.
What happened to Luigi?
Exactly. And no edits, no updates. Don't you think that's weird? Because my entire For You was Luigi talk for 2 and stories related to it. Like, it sparked a genuinely important conversation about universal health care.
Yes.
And I felt like I learned a lot in that time, and it really like kind of clued me into what was going on. And then gone. And his first hearing, I believe, is like next week. Nobody knows. Weird. I also do feel like the fires gone from my For You page as well. Gone. I don't see fire stories anymore.
Wait a minute now, because I think you're correct. And maybe it has changed.
I don't know. I just feel like it's been a little bit different.
I definitely feel like mine is still like very politically heavy.
Same.
But it's like more like CNN, NBC, like news.
I agree. I've gotten a lot of like regular news outlets, which is interesting because I don't follow them. Of course, Aaron Parnas, because I like watch every one of his videos. Yeah. And then the other thing is the drones completely gone.
The drones are gone.
The drones are gone.
Oh my God, you're so right.
And I'm just like, I always want to be examining like the information that I'm being fed and the information I'm not being fed.
Yeah.
It's just interesting because I feel like TikTok was the place to go for those topics that were not discussed on the main news.
Yeah.
They're gone. I don't know. I just feel like something freaky deaky is happening with TikTok.
Meanwhile, I'm like, no, nothing's changed. But Luigi is missing from my timeline. I was getting like the edits, like the like sexy Luigi edits.
Yeah. Gone.
Only thing now I see is like the Francos. Yeah. Like who's going to play Luigi.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Okay. Do you think that Instagram this is not a loaded question. I'm genuinely wondering your opinion. Do you think Instagram is an effective way to change people's minds? And has your mind ever been changed about a major topic on Insta?
Not in recent times.
That's how I feel too. And that's another reason why a lot of the times I'll go to share something from TikTok and I'm like, I feel like on Instagram, people's minds are more fixed with their beliefs.
Yeah.
Whereas on TikTok, myself included, I'm so open. And even if a video is like kind of out there, I'll like watch it and see if it changes my mind.
Yeah.
I've gotten into like really heated discussions with people about politics in my DMs. But I always feel kind of like ashamed after because it's the opposite of like Michelle Obama. When they go low, we go high. I'm like, I go low. I will meet you in the dirt. I will mud wrestle you in the DMs.
When they go low, I go to hell.
No, like
straight.
Like actually.
In a handbasket with gasoline draws on. I do not care.
The week of the election, I was fighting with people in such an insane way in my DMs. And I actually shuddered to think what I was saying because I was crashing out.
Yeah.
And the worst part is I always feel like annoyed after because it doesn't change their mind. So it's like, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Well, I always think, like when you're arguing with somebody in the DM and like you might have that feeling like, oh, they're going to post this.
Yeah.
I want them to know that I'm actually going to post it.
Yeah.
So when I'm crashing out, I'm also posting it so everyone can see.
So you like preemptively,
how insane you are.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I've cultivated on Instagram, which I will say a positive thing about Instagram. I feel like most of my followers now, when I post something that's like charged, most people either agree or they don't say anything. And then occasionally I'll get like the 1, 2, 3 people who come in and like say something so outlandish. But I'm like, where did you think that I stood on this issue? After following me for this long,
I know.
If you think that I stand on the opposite side of justice, then you either are just following me for entertainment purposes and you just want me to like look pretty and wave a red flag on Catfish and like that's where you know me from and that's as much as you want to know me. But this is who I've been for a really long time. Yeah. I've been talking about these things for a really long time. I'm also down to go toe-to-toe with you at any given point in time. We can debate at any given time and I will win.
It's amazing to have cultivated that community on Insta, and I feel largely the same. But sometimes I feel like I almost wish there was people who disagreed with me who are still following me because I do feel a responsibility to, I don't know, because I feel like most of the people who follow me are very similar to me. And I'm like, okay, great. Then I'm just speaking to this echo chamber. And then we're all sitting around patting ourselves on the back being like, oh, like we're so good and whatever.
Yeah.
So sometimes I do really try to my problem is I come across so snarky when I post like shit. I'll be like, oh, they're not going after a full federal abortion ban, are they? Like, I just cannot say it in a non-mean, sarcastic way. And that's what I'm actually trying to work on, because I don't know, like my delusional self thinks chips make chunks. And if I can change a few people's minds, like it has a knock-on effect, especially because I'm a white woman. And I think the women who follow me are predominantly white women who live in cities, coastal areas. So I want to have that discussion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard.
I know it is. But I will say, like, whether they tell you explicitly or not, because I've had a lot of people DM me and tell me that I have changed their mind.
That's so wonderful.
And whether they tell you it or not, you are changing people's minds by speaking out. And it's not all for nothing.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think you have to, like, do for one person what you can wish you could do for everybody. And I do believe in being the change that you want to see.
Yeah.
For me, that also means being like open-minded and really trying to see it from many perspectives, because that ultimately makes my argument stronger.
Yeah.
So, wow, all my questions are so depressing. I'm so sorry, but I just like, I find it interesting. I didn't mean it. I genuinely think you have such a good perspective.
At all.
No.
I talk about this shit all day.
Well, wait till I see what I'm gonna ask you. What's the most disappointing thing to you about America in 2025? How much time do we have?
I mean, the whole thing.
Yeah.
All of it. Every last piece. You know what is most disappointing to me as of recent? I talked about this on Reels yesterday, which was actually a repost of a TikTok that I posted first. TikTok gets all my good stuff first.
Oh, yeah.
And I test it out over there, and then when I give it to Instagram, Instagram's like, this is shit. Bye.
But don't you get better views on Reels than TikTok?
Sometimes.
I feel like Reels
but not
is consistently
likes. Like nobody
better.
on Instagram wants to like anything.
But that's because there's the culture. You know what? That's my most annoying thing about Instagram is, like, sometimes I see something and I want to like it, but then everyone would see and call you out and be like, that's so cringe. Like a simple post of, like, yesterday, this is a silly example, but I remembered it because it was like a picture of Lily Rose Depp and she looked pretty. And I was like, oh, I love her. I would love to get
button to the top.
Trench coat. By the way, I said that on Reels and everyone was like, you're not wearing a trench coat.
I saw that.
I was like,
I saw that.
Okay. Anyway, I am trying to train my Instagram Explore page to not be, my Instagram Explore page is all boobs. They think I am gay, which is great, but like,
I've seen so much ass on my Explore page.
Mine is like erotic. It's like they'll be doing the workouts, but it's like a fake workout to just like do a sex, like whatever. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I do love women, but like, like, okay.
Not in that
I just want to see some more like fashion on my Explore or like whatever. So I was like going to like this pic of Lily Rose Depp, but it was from some random cringe account called like Lily Rose Depp, like fans. And I was like, I don't want someone to see.
Yeah.
And that's the culture on Insta. Whereas on TikTok, I like 500 weird things a day and it's anonymous.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so perfect.
I know. I love that too.
Yeah. So, okay. So sorry, I cut you off.
Well, no, I cut myself off because then I started talking about Reels. I landed in LA 2 days ago, and immediately like went to the grocery store. And I don't know if you feel this way because you're bi-coastal too. Mm-hmm. In New York, I cannot find fresh produce.
Oh, no.
Everything is dingy. Everything has a weird spot on it.
Everything has been in a Tupperware for 10 days.
It's low-key disgusting.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat any of these fruits and vegetables. The organic shit is like shriveled up. The bananas look like...
No. It's terrible. It's not even worth it.
It's not even worth it. When I land in California, in Los Angeles, in this beautiful city, which I've lived here for 7 years now, and have just recently became bi-coastal between New York and LA last summer. I lived in New York for 8 years before I moved here. I'm from the East Coast, love the East Coast down. But LA produce makes you want to be a better person.
Oh, 100%.
Like it makes you want to just like dive in.
Yeah.
And be that girl who eats healthy and like, wears white and just like enjoys her life. Like wears like linen.
Yes, 100%.
So when I was shopping, I was happy to see all this beautiful produce around me, but I was also so sad because I was thinking in just a few months, because of these ICE raids, because of what's happening with migrant workers, because they don't feel, a lot of them don't feel safe coming to work because they could be deported after working in this country for decades of their lives, having families here, paying taxes here. The produce that we see is not the produce that we're going to see very soon. And no one else is willing to do these hardworking jobs. And it just made me, Deja Fox, who's like an incredible, incredible person, advocate. She has been on the campaign trail, and that's how we met. She commented on my reel and was like, thank you so much for posting this and like saying this and helping people to realize that like even the things that you don't think are political are political.
Everything is political.
Everything is political.
I know.
And it made me so sad. I was so happy to be like surrounded by these beautiful tomatoes and like it sounds like first worldy, but it's not.
No.
This is like the reality of our world and the reality of a lot of other countries as well who are experiencing deficit and famine and all these things. We have the luxury of having these people here who put this beautiful food in front of us, and we want to take that away. Instantly, I wanted to cry over a grapefruit.
No, I get it.
Because I was just like, this is so beautiful. Like, why would we want to take this away? And that is what has made me very upset as of recent. And the amount of people who I've seen who have been going like so hard against immigrants. I'm a fucking child of an immigrant. I'm a first generation. You're an immigrant.
I'm an immigrant.
Like, this country is built on immigrants.
Yeah, of course.
What are we doing?
My question also to follow on from that is a lot of people voted for Trump because they believed that he would materially raise their situation economically.
Yeah, the eggs. I heard a lot about the eggs. Guess what?
Heard a lot about eggs.
There was no eggs on the shelf.
There's no eggs right now.
And there's bird flu. I'm not saying that he brought the bird flu, but he might have.
The question I have is like, when, if ever, well, you know, because they're doing these mass deportations, and you know, people have, as you said, have been really cruel and going so hard on them. When that doesn't increase the quality of life for all those people who were promised cheaper eggs, blah blah blah, what happens then? And that's for me because I remember that stuff. Like in 2 years when the eggs are more expensive and everybody's even more upset and all we've done is mass deport hardworking people.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I will remember that was the thing that everybody said, like, oh, the economy, oh, the prices. Like, my question is, is that connection made? I don't think it's going to be made.
He'll find a way to blame it on Biden, and then everyone will be like, oh, yes, that's why. Yeah. But like, no, he specifically said that your eggs and your gas were going to be cheaper.
I know. And
on day one.
My only hope is that it was such a key, it was such a key component of the campaign, like cheaper eggs. Like, I can only hope that people who genuinely believed that would happen hold on to that and check. I don't know if that's true, but if that will happen. But
like so far.
Yeah.
They're so deep. Like it's an ingrained, it's a sickness. Like it's really, really a sickness. And I could try to, I'm not expecting everyone to agree with me politically. I could try to see why, where, how you got to the conclusion that you did, that this particular administration was going to help you, rise from the dirt and build something and grow and to be something. If we didn't already have an exact, like printout of exactly what was at stake, if people actually took the time to like look at that, but they didn't. So I don't think that they're ever going to go back and be like, oh, I was wrong.
Right.
What I think is going to happen is that people who voted for him, who are going to continue, if not even more so, fall into decline, are going to be rabid when they realize that nothing that he said is true.
Yeah.
And you're even more poor. You don't have, the schools are closing down. They're closing down schools. You're not getting federal funding. you're not going to be able to get food stamps.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people rely on.
Yeah.
And you've listened to all these things but it happens like in every cult. Pretty much. Like the Manson girls are just now it's still trying to fight for their freedom.
Yeah.
And now they're realizing like, oh my God, like I listened to this person, I trusted this person, and I tried past tense to find compassion for them during the election. And I'm just like, whatever. I hope that you get exactly what you voted for.
Right. I think that's what's going to happen.
It's like the nicest thing that I can say to them at this point.
Yeah. No, it's like, I'm not like a spiteful person. Like, I don't hope it goes badly just for me to prove my point.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel genuinely sad because I think a big part of the population of people who voted for them genuinely believe that he cares about them.
He doesn't give a shit.
And I genuinely, really in my heart, believe that he doesn't really care. I think he cares about the concept of America. Not that really helps the everyday person.
He cares about power. He was my boss, when I was Miss Teen USA, he owned the pageant.
No way. Wow. Did you have any experiences with him?
Yeah.
And
all positive.
Yeah.
All positive.
Yeah.
I mean, before I met him the first time, I was told by the only other Black person that worked at the organization that he does not like Black people. And so to not be offended if he doesn't shake my hand or want to engage with me. But she said specifically, she was like, but if he does, then maybe you're just the type of Black that he likes and good for you.
Wow.
That was hours before I met him.
That's crazy. How old were you?
I was 17.
Wow.
And I actually ended up posting about this interaction because there was more to it. But I posted about it on Twitter before the 2016 election, not thinking that it was going to go anywhere. It went everywhere. It was on CNN. They were like finding my mom's phone number to call her to ask me for like a statement. It was crazy. And I was shocked at the amount of people that wrote back and were like, so what you're saying is he was nice to you? Like you're saying that it was positive. So like, what does it matter if that's what you were told? What does it matter if him and all of his like billionaire friends who would fly in for the pageant were all standing over you, gawking at you? You only said 2 words, but he said, wow, she speaks so good. Like, why does that matter? And it was shocking to me, but when I was Miss Teen USA, I remember we had a meeting and they sat us down, me, because it was Miss Teen USA, Miss USA, and Miss Universe. We all worked together. We had a meeting and they let us know that he was going to be running for office.
Wow.
And that was in 2010, 2011.
Wow.
And they told us then that he was going to be running for office. And they said specifically that if you are asked on any red carpet, if you are voting for Trump, you are to say yes. And I said, absolutely the fuck not. I'm not saying that.
Wow. And did you get
never saying
pushback?
That. Yeah. But I was like, hell no.
It's wrong to lie. Yeah.
Are you crazy?
Yeah. Wow.
No, never. So that is, I knew when he actually did run for real, I was like, oh.
You knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming, but I was like, oh, this is about power. This is about influence. This is about wanting to be seen. This is not about the country. Because they didn't give us any like, oh, this is what, he stands for. This is what, I already knew what he stood for because I've seen him. I've been to all his kids' charity bullshit events. Like I know what their tea is. Okay, I've peeped it, clocked it long time ago. And it was just, when I saw it actually happen, I was like, there's no way.
Here we are.
Narrator. But there was a way.
But there was a way. Literally.
Not only was there a way, there was a way twice. Crazy.
It's crazy. Okay, so you hosted Catfish for 6 years. How has your life changed since you left? Switching gears a little bit.
In so many ways. I think the biggest one is just having control of like my time.
Yeah.
Because what people don't realize is that Catfish films like no other show on TV. I'm sorry. Like if you show me a show that films like Catfish, I will take back my words, but we filmed year round.
That's insane.
No schedule. Like no like, okay, we're going to film from January to May. this is how many episodes. No, we film whenever people are ready to come forward and tell their story.
So you have to be ready at a moment's notice.
Moment's notice. Sometimes 2 days, 3 days, maybe.
And just
lead
drop everything
time.
and you have to go.
I had a suitcase packed for years. I mean, it's just jeans and t-shirt, but like, you know,
Yeah.
like it was always, I say that it, like we were on-call doctors. It was just like, you constantly have to be ready to go. And they'll text me right now and be like, okay, wow, today's what, Wednesday, Friday, we're flying to Nashville for 5 days. Okay, are we going to stay in Nashville? Are we going to go somewhere else? Can't tell you that. So it was always like, you know, because we have to be left in the dark. People think that like we know things and that they're scripts, and I have no idea what's happening.
Right.
We open the email. That's usually the first time that we find out where somebody lives, what the story is, and then we go from there. So 6 years of that.
That's a long time to do that.
It's a long time.
Did it make working on other projects difficult, and did it make social and dating life difficult?
Well, I had a boyfriend when I was the first time. He was trash. So we had to let go of him. Mm-hmm. And then when I was single, it definitely was like the guys that would hit me up and be like, hey, like, come with me. Like, let's go to,
You're
okay,
like, I'm in Denver.
I'm in Iowa.
Yeah.
But I should be back tonight at like 11 p.m. Like it.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't a thing. And I wasn't really like, I just wanted to be outside. Like, you know, you want to like make it in time for the party. It made a lot of other work things like not possible, but also like a lot of personal things. Like I remember when I first joined the show, they were like, okay, well, get ready to miss best friend's wedding, you know, any kind of graduation. Like,
and you were probably like, yeah, whatever. And then you literally missed like everybody's wedding and everybody's graduation.
But I also didn't care. Not that I didn't care, but like I didn't care about missing like other events, like LA events and like influencer parties and stuff like that. Cause like I'm living my dream. I'm working the job that I like, this is who I am. Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So it didn't really affect me until I think I got in my 30s. Yeah. Cause I was 25 when I started. And once
That's crazy, dude. You were 25 when you started?
Now I'm 32. Wow. And I quit right before my 32nd birthday. So I think like getting a little bit older, meeting an actual man that I'm in love with and like, you know, wanting to be at home and just like have a sense of normalcy in my life and not miss the things. Of course. You know, I've missed like my sister's birthdays for the past 6 years. Yeah. And I just finally got to like be at one. So like, you know, it's just it's a nice change.
Was time. Yeah.
It was definitely time.
Yeah. Yeah. Aww. And okay, so dating life, you keep it private, but you do give some. Yeah. How do you find, like, where's the line? People are dying to know more, but like, how do you find the line? I think it's so healthy, but like, how did you figure out where the line is between privacy and letting people know a little bit?
I think I had to make the line because like my ex, like, people, first of all, still don't even know that I'm in a relationship and have been for over 2 years now.
I know. It's very like, if you catch it, you know, maybe like a picture of you got like of your food together or what at home, or like you'll be like, oh, like my man cooked me this tonight or whatever. Yeah. But it's like, it's not a big part of your page.
Yeah. I don't show his face ever.
Right.
But we're together all the time. And like people run into us all the time, and when they do, they're always
like, probably like,
it's like an Easter egg. They know immediately. They know, like they get excited to see me, but then they get even more excited to see him. But I just realized, like, when I was in my last relationship, I was posting so much content of us, whether things were good or whether things were really, really bad, and it felt performative, of course, but it also felt like, this is what people want. Like, this is what people want to see. They want this information. Like, if I don't post him, people are like, are you guys okay? Like, what's going on? Like, we haven't seen him in a while, whatever. If I don't post this Valentine's Day picture, like, what are people going to think? Even though we're beefing on Valentine's Day, and like, I don't even want to fucking talk to him, but I have to post like love of my life, blah, blah, blah. And it just felt fake. And
it's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. And it wasn't until after we broke up and I was like looking at my timeline and like deleting these photos, I was like, this picture we took right after or like right before this like screaming match, like these are not authentic moments. And I'm not posting these for myself. And then after we broke up, I'm getting all these DMs like, you guys were my couple of goals. Like I wanted I'm like,
and you're like, you have no idea. Like
you have no idea what I just endured and survived. Like this is not the relationship that you want to model yourself after. And it's not even just like him. It was also me. Like I had things that I needed to change and work on. And now I'm in a relationship that's so beautiful and so healthy and like mine. I don't feel the need to put on for other people for them to see, or like, oh, if I don't post this, they're not going to know how much I love him.
Yeah. Because it's not for performance. It's for you. It's you.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so interesting. So many points that I want to follow up on. First of all, people love relationship content so much. But the irony is, per your point, I think most of the relationship content we see on Insta and TikTok is fake.
Yes.
Like those couples that post every single day together, or like they have a joint page.
I can't imagine it.
I can't imagine what goes on behind the scenes, because it's just, it's not real. Like you can't, and I think that being a public couple puts added pressure on the relationship, because here's the thing, performing your relationship, performing your love for someone is completely different than living it, and it's unnatural, quite frankly. So that's that. Second of all, I'm so happy that you have someone great. How does he feel about your bi-coastal life?
Well, he is the reason why we have bi-coastal life.
Okay.
This is not my doing.
Okay.
So, ish. So he's from Philly. Okay. I'm from Maryland. Okay. We're both East Coasters. When we met, he had been living in LA for 11 years. Okay. And he was ready to go. He was already looking at homes on the East Coast. He was like, I'm out. Like, didn't meet my wife here. I'm going to go. Yeah. And then we meet.
You're like, hey.
And I was in the process of buying here in LA.
I remember that. Because I ran into you probably 2 years ago in the Miami airport, and you were like, God, I'm like dating this new guy. Yes. I think that was right when you guys started dating.
Yeah. I think it was him.
Or no, it was.
I think it was him.
Because you were like, he's really great.
Yeah.
And I was I could
then
tell.
It had to be him, because I never said a man was great.
Yeah. No,
he's the only one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when we met, he was like, well, I guess I'm not leaving. Like, he literally packed up my apartment and like moved me into my condo. Yeah. Which was so nice, because I've never dealt with a guy before who was just like so happy for me. Yeah. Like, and just like,
a lot of men would have been threatened that you were buying your own home.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And honestly, I didn't tell him when I first purchased it. I didn't tell him for like a week. And we were like actively talking. And then I kind of just threw it in like, oh yeah, by the way, I bought this place. And he was like, what? He was like, that's incredible. Like, you're not even 30 yet and you bought a home? Like, I don't even think you realize how major this is. Like, we have to celebrate. And he was so excited for me. Anyway, so move into my condo, but he still had his own apartment. Years go by now. It had been 2 years, and he, his job asked him about relocating to New York, because they knew that he had always wanted to go to New York and like be back on the East Coast. And he was like, well, I have to talk to Kamie first, obviously. It's like, oh,
good answer. Good answer. We love to hear it.
We had the conversation though, and we had always we knew that we were going to be endgame pretty early on in our relationship. I would say like 7 months. We knew. We had already talked about like when we have kids, we want to do it on the East Coast, because my family's there. I'm not doing anything without my mom.
Of course.
Ever. I don't even go to the bank without my mom.
Me too. She has to be on the phone when I'm in the bank.
I need to know.
I'm like, what account? My mom's like, oh my God.
Which number? I don't even know. What's my social?
I'm glad that you are like that too.
Yeah, very dependent on my mom.
Same.
Wouldn't know what to do without her. So like when I have my first, second, third, who knows how many kids, she's also mother. So she will be mothering them as well. So we had already discussed that. We knew that was like what we were going to be doing. And yeah, it was just like perfect timing. Like they were like, we'll pay for the move.
Unreal.
We're like, yeah, we're going to take that.
Done.
So we got an apartment in Brooklyn.
Right.
And now we're back and forth together.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love bi-coastal.
It's great.
I literally love it. People are like, I don't get it. Like, where do you live? And I'm like, in both places.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it.
What's your key to it though? Like, how did you make it work? Because some people think that it's like overwhelming.
I don't know. I think it's easier for me because I am single. So I can bop whenever I want. I kind of go where the wind blows me, and I'm into that. And I think being fully set up in both places so that you feel like both place
Yes.
as a sanctuary.
Yes.
I honestly found it harder when I didn't have a place in New York and I'd be staying with my family or I would be in a hotel or whatever.
Hotels in New York are bleak.
Yeah, you just want your
And
stuff.
expensive.
So expensive.
Yeah.
So honestly, I don't mind traveling. It doesn't stress me out. It doesn't tire me.
I like
love
the flight,
it.
but I
Yeah.
also am very specific. I have to be in a lie flat seat.
Of course.
That's the number one.
I
Worked really hard. Got them miles.
people are like, what purse are you buying next? I'm like, I buy myself first class on every single flight I go on,
Yes.
and that is a luxury to me. And
Yeah.
that's where I choose to spend my money.
In your 30s, there should be luxuries that like those are like hard line luxuries.
And
First class, lie flat is my
I need it. I know. And so they're like, why don't you find it tiring? I'm like, because I go first class. Being real with you.
Yeah, I'm knocked
It's not
out.
that difficult if you go first class. So
I'm knocked out.
yeah, it's great. A little Xanax, a half a glass of red wine.
Yes.
It's honestly delightful.
Yeah.
Okay. As a fellow gym girl, what does working out mean to you? Especially in the context of someone who has been in pageants and has worked as a model. You know, I feel like we know Instagram is fake. You love the gym and you know, talk a little bit about your...
Love the gym. See, my trainer would say, you love the gym, like, please.
Yeah.
But I hate sweating.
Okay.
I hate sweating.
What do you do?
It's not something I enjoy.
You go to your 6-pack city workouts.
I do. That's my trainer. And then I go to solid core. I sweat. I just don't like it.
You don't like it?
Because my hair.
Yeah.
But I realized like very early on in my gym journey, like if you're going to sacrifice one or the other. You're going to sacrifice your gym goals or you're going to sacrifice your hair goals. Like you got to pick.
Yeah.
So I've just come to terms with the fact that like you're going to have to redo your hair. This is going to be a part of it. But I fell in love with a feeling more so than like a look. My weight has fluctuated my entire life. I've been everything from a size 0 to a size 10. I was a model. I was modeling when I was at my biggest, and I was in pageants when I was at my smallest, when I was a 0. And I've learned to love and appreciate myself everywhere in between. When I was going through my breakup and I was single, I was hardcore gym heavy. It was also COVID. So like I had the time. I could go to the gym 10 times a week if I wanted to. And like it was a good place for me mentally to be because I had somewhere to like put all of that. And then I got into a relationship, and happy weight is real. When you have someone who you just look at each other and you're like, donuts?
That's
And
the
they're like,
best, though.
yeah, it's the best until.
It's the best.
Until.
No, it's the best. That's the only pay. I'm pretty happy being single, but since sometimes I'm like, I'm on a Sunday and I'm like, I really want to go get like a big thing of pancakes and I wish I had something. It's eating with the boyfriend is truly one of the greatest pleasures on earth. I will say that.
Yes. And we love to eat. My boyfriend like has such a sweet tooth. So it's something that we do. And then, I've had like a series of gut health issues over the past year and a half that have changed my life in every way. I'm now gluten-free.
How
by
is
choice.
it? I was gluten-free for a while.
I've learned to be okay with it just because like if I ever break it, I feel like shit. And it's not just like physically, it's like mentally, like I feel depressed almost. Like it's a really weird thing that happened to me as a result of like anxiety and just like chaos. And so, now it's a little bit different. Like I've just focused more on like curing any kind of inflammation inside of my gut. And it sounds like very crunchy LA talk, but it's genuinely has changed my life.
I believe it.
I take 1 million vitamins every day. I also got off birth control after 18 years. So that is
like, a whole thing. That is, it's really, the birth control question is so real.
It's a question.
It's a big question.
I loved it. I loved being on birth control. I did whatever I wanted. I only got 4 periods a year. I was frolicking freely.
I know.
No issue.
And then you get off it and it's like, whoa.
Yeah. People told me that I was going to feel great. I did not feel great.
I know.
I did not feel great at all.
But
now I do.
Yeah.
And I've learned.
It took you what, like a year?
I've been off of it it'll be a year next month in February.
Yeah. It takes like a year.
It takes
to
a while.
rebalance.
It takes a while.
Which makes sense if we've been putting a hormone in our body for 18 years is like
I've been
the
pumping
majority
my
of
body
your
up
life. Yeah.
with these moans.
Yeah. I'm I'm moaned up, let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm not, I'm like, oh, okay. Like this
Now
is
you're free range.
Free range chicken. Free range chicken.
I'm
bok.
a GMO chicken at this point. It's okay.
I was for a long time.
Yeah.
So now I'm like really focused on just like healing everything. And it's made the gym a new resurfaced priority in my life because it just makes me feel good.
I don't know why I always feel inspired when you do your gym selfie. Like I'm new to the gym. I've only been like lifting for a year and I love it. And it really gives me a lot of confidence and mental fortitude. So I don't know. I just like, I always, when you post that mirror selfie, I'm like, I need to go. Like, that's good. It really, it inspires me. Okay. Last question. If you were the president for the day and you could make one law that would be passed immediately, what would the law be? You only get one. It's a good question, isn't it?
Well, immediately I thought get rid of all the men, but then that includes my man and I don't want that. He could stay. Damn. There's so many.
I know.
One rule?
Yeah, one law immediately passed, and they can't change it.
God. Oh.
I was trying to think about what mine would be.
My mind is going in so many different directions, and this is very difficult in this political, social climate we're in.
You know. I think I would make...
Because I want to go silly, but I can't. It's not silly times.
I know. If you'd asked us this question like 10 years ago, we'd be like, everybody gets a puppy today or whatever.
Exactly. Something very light.
And now I'm like, make sure that abortion is like Roe v. Wade is codified. And
Oh my God.
I can think of a different one if this is too hard.
Well, what's your answer?
I think I would make abortion up to a certain number of weeks legal for everyone forever, and it's also has to be free and safe.
Agreed.
That would throw them into an absolute tailspin.
Agreed.
Listen, if you don't want to get an abortion, don't get one. It's that simple.
Mind your own pussy. Why are you minding mine?
Literally.
Mine's good. Very good, actually.
Yeah.
Never had any complaints. God. I would lift everyone out of and well above the poverty line.
That's a good one.
Everyone has like a fair shot.
That's a really good one.
At something.
Yeah.
But then there's universal health care.
I know.
And then there's men with microphones.
I know.
Who's going to do something about them?
ban all male podcasts.
Yeah.
In reality. No, that's a good one. Maybe universal health care would also be. I mean, imagine how much our country would change if we had universal health care. That would be nuts.
Could you imagine?
I just saw on, this is going to get censored. I just saw on TikTok, and I need to fact check this, that the percentage of people living in absolute poverty in America is higher than the percentage of people living in absolute poverty in China. I think I saw that. I need to be fact checked, because if
Aaron Parnas,
crazy if true.
I mean,
people don't know that we have I think we have 1.5% of people living in absolute poverty in America, which is Also, we're what are we, 17th in education now? I mean,
it's only going to get worse, and the middle class is going to be obsolete.
It's gone. We don't.
These are the things that I have to think about. I miss the old days.
Same.
When I could just think about myself.
I know. And on that note, thank you so much. Wait, where can people find you? Where can people listen to your podcast?
Yes. So I'm Kamie Crawford on everything. Kamie. A lot of people like to leave the E off the end of my name. Or spell it with a C. That's not me.
You're so Kamie with a K and an E to me.
Very Kamie with a K coded.
Yeah.
And then my podcast, it's a relationship advice podcast called Relationship. Airs every single Friday, and it's available on all platforms.
Hell yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.